I always believed that when you give people love, they give it back. That when you show loyalty, you receive loyalty in return. I believed trust was simple, like breathing. You don't think about it, you just do it. But life has a strange way of teaching lessons. Some lessons come gently, and some arrive like a storm that tears everything apart in one night. My storm began the day I realized something terrifying. I trusted the wrong people. I didn't know it at first. In fact, if you had asked me a year ago who I trusted the most, I would have confidently said two names. Two names that now feel like stones in my throat. Lena and Daniel. Two people I once believed were the safest part of my world. But this story isn't about trust alone. It's about the moment trust breaks, and the person you become after it shatters. This story is the one I've been afraid to tell. Not because it hurts, but because even now, after everything, a part of me still can't believe it really happened. I remember the exact moment my life changed. Not a dramatic scene, not thunder, not a scream. Just a quiet evening. Just a single message. Just a few words that slipped into my phone like a whisper in the dark. You really have no idea what they're doing behind your back, do you? I stared at that message for a long time. My first thought wasn't fear. It wasn't anger. It was confusion. The kind you feel when something impossible is placed in front of you. I typed back, "Who are you?" No reply. Instead, another message arrived. A picture. A picture that shook me in a way I wasn't prepared for. But before I tell you what was in that picture, you need to understand who I was before everything fell apart. Because if you don't understand the girl I used to be, you won't understand the woman I became after the truth came out. My name is Aria, and this is my story. The calm before everything broke. People often say the worst moments of your life don't begin with fireworks. They start quietly, soft, silent, comfortable, like the warm calm before a storm you don't see coming. My life used to feel peaceful. I lived in a small town where people greeted each other with smiles that felt real, where families stayed close, and neighbors shared meals like tradition. In that small, predictable world, I had two people who meant everything to me. Lena, my childhood best friend, and Daniel, the boy who once felt like the center of my future. The three of us were like the sun, the moon, and the stars, always in the same sky, always circling each other. People in town joked that we were inseparable. Lena and I grew up together. We shared secrets, dreams, heartbreaks. She knew every detail about my life, from the foods I hated to the fears I never admitted out loud. She wasn't just a friend. She was the sister I chose. Then came Daniel. Kind, soft-spoken. The type of boy who listened with his full heart, not just his ears. At least, that's who I believed he was. I thought I was lucky. I thought I had love on one side and friendship on the other. I thought nothing could shake us. But life doesn't warn you when people begin to change. It doesn't give you a sign when hearts start shifting quietly behind your back. It just happens. Slowly. Silently. Like a crack in a glass window. You don't see it until the whole thing breaks. The first signs I ignored. If I look back now, the signs were there. Little things. Small moments. Fragments that didn't make sense at the time. Like the day I walked into our favorite cafe and found Lena and Daniel sitting together, laughing in a way they never laughed when I was around. They both stiffened when they saw me. Lena's smile froze. Daniel's eyes widened like he'd been caught doing something he shouldn't. They told me they were planning something for my birthday. And I believed them. I believed them because trust makes you blind to red flags. Then came the conversations that stopped the moment I entered the room. The exchanged looks. The inside jokes that no longer included me. The messages I wasn't allowed to see. The unexplained silences. And still, I convinced myself I was imagining it. Because when you love people, you don't want to see the truth. You want to believe the best version of them. even when that version doesn't exist anymore. One night, I heard them outside my house, whispering, soft, urgent. They said my name, followed by silence, followed by footsteps walking away. That night, something inside me felt uneasy, a feeling I pushed aside, because I didn't want to break the world I believed in. But the world doesn't wait for your permission to change. Sometimes, it crumbles without warning. The message that changed everything. When that anonymous message came, my life paused. At first, I thought it was a prank. Or maybe someone trying to start drama. But the picture attached, that was no prank. I opened it. My hands shook. My breathing slowed. My heart felt like it was sinking inside my chest. In that picture, I saw Lena leaning into Daniel. Their faces close. Too close. And the smile on Daniel's face. I had never seen that smile directed at me. Not once. It didn't look like a mistake. It didn't look like a friendly moment. It looked like a secret. A secret that had been living behind my back for a long time. I stared at the picture until my eyes burned. My mind kept saying one thing. This can't be real. But my heart whispered back. You already knew. Because deep down, I think I did. I just didn't want to admit it. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't call them. I just sat there. No. Feeling the first real fracture in my world. A fracture that would grow. A fracture that would soon reveal the truth behind everything. And as much as that message hurt, it was only the beginning. Because the person who sent that picture didn't stop there. There were more messages. More screenshots. More proof that the two people I loved the most were hiding something far darker than a secret relationship. But that part of the story comes later. For now, this is where everything changed. This is where trust broke. Where innocence died. Where the storm finally began. And I had no idea how far it would go. If you had met me 1 year before everything collapsed, you would have met a girl who truly believed her world was safe. A girl who thought trust was unbreakable. And love was simple. Back then, my life didn't have the darkness it carries now. It was calm, predictable, soft. The kind of life people look at and think, nothing bad happens there. But I've learned something. Bad things don't always announce themselves. Sometimes they walk in quietly, disguised as people you love. And that's exactly how my story began. A safe life, or so I thought. I lived in a small town that looked peaceful from the outside. We had clean streets, friendly neighbors, and the same familiar faces walking in and out of the bakery every morning. The kind of place where doors stayed unlocked, and people trusted each other by default. And in that calm world, I had two constants in my life. Two people who shaped my days, my emotions, my future. Lena and Daniel. Two names I once said with warmth. Two names that now feel like echoes of a life I no longer recognize. Lena, the sister I chose. Lena and I grew up side by side. Same schools, same sports, same embarrassing haircut phases. Our families were so close that people often joked. We were sisters from different parents. I trusted her in ways I didn't trust anyone else. She knew my insecurities, my dreams, my mistakes, my fears. She was the one I called when I cried, when I failed, when I succeeded, when I needed to breathe. You don't question someone like that. You don't suspect them. You don't doubt them, because doubt feels like an insult to the years you spent believing in each other. She always said, Arya, you and I, we're forever. Funny how forever can end quietly, without even saying goodbye. Daniel, the boy who felt like a future. If Lena was my heart's comfort, Daniel was my heart's excitement. He wasn't loud or flashy. He wasn't one of those boys who tried too hard. He was simple, warm, soft in the way he spoke, gentle in the way he listened. He made me feel seen. In a world where I often felt invisible, When you find someone who listens like that, you start imagining a future without even meaning to. I pictured a life with him. Not a dramatic one, just a peaceful one. I didn't know, not then, that peace can be the biggest lie, the beginning of small changes. People assume betrayal happens suddenly, but the truth is, it begins slowly, quietly, softly, almost beautifully. The first shift was so tiny that I didn't even recognize it as a sign. Lena started avoiding plans. Daniel started giving shorter answers. They both started saying, "We're just tired. We're just busy. We're just stressed." But their tiredness always arrived on the same days. Their stress always overlapped. Their excuses always matched. And yet, I told myself not to overthink. Because when you love people, you silence your own instincts to protect the version of them you have in your head. One evening, I walked into the cafe the three of us always visited, and there they were, Lena and Daniel, sitting close, laughing quietly, the kind of laugh that feels like a secret. When they saw me, their faces changed so fast. I felt something twist in my chest. Oh, there it is, that feeling. The one you ignore because you're scared of the truth. Daniel stood up too quickly. Lena tucked her hair behind her ear, a habit she had when she was nervous. "Oh, Arya, we were just talking about your birthday." Their voices were too fast, too coordinated, too rehearsed. But I smiled anyway, because trust makes you blind. And I wore that blindness like a shield, convincing myself nothing was wrong. When friendships start to shift, over the next several weeks, the small signs turned into patterns. I would walk into a room, and they would stop talking. Every time, I would ask a simple question, and they would exchange a look. Before answering, I would suggest plans. And suddenly, Lena was busy, Daniel was tired, and I was left out. Slowly, subtly, I became the outsider. In my own friendship, it's strange how painful that feels, to be the only one trying, while two people drift away together. It's a loneliness you can't explain. It's a silence that feels loud. But I kept telling myself, "You're imagining it. They love you. They would never hurt you." If only I knew how wrong I was. The night I overheard them. It was late, almost midnight. I had forgotten something in my porch swing, and stepped outside quietly. That's when I heard voices. Soft, urgent, familiar. I froze. It was them, Lena and Daniel, standing just outside my house, like they were hiding from someone, like they were hiding from me. I stepped back into the shadows. My heart beat loud in my ears. I didn't catch everything, just snippets. She can't find out yet. I'll tell her when it's the right time. You promised we'd do this together. Then silence. A heavy one. My name floated in the air. Not softly, not lovingly, but like a problem they were trying to solve. Then footsteps. Then distance. Then nothing. I stood there, feeling the first true crack inside me. But still, I told myself I must be wrong, because the truth is scary when you aren't ready to face it. The day my life shifted forever. The next morning, I woke up with a strange heaviness in my chest, a feeling I couldn't shake. I kept telling myself, "You're overthinking. Don't ruin something beautiful with your fears." But fear is a warning, and fate didn't wait long before proving that my fear was right. Because later that day, while standing in the middle of my living room, my phone buzzed. One notification, unknown number, and then a message that didn't feel like a casual text. It felt like someone set a bomb in the center of my life. "Arya, you deserve to know the truth." My stomach dropped. My hands shook before I even opened the message. And when I did, my world tilted, because attached to that message was a picture. A picture that would tear open everything I believed about love, loyalty, and friendship. But the picture itself wasn't the only thing that broke me. It was what the picture represented. A secret. A lie. A betrayal so deep, I would spend months trying to understand it. And that message, that picture, was only the beginning. What came next was darker than anything I imagined. There are moments in life that don't just hurt. They change you. Not softly, not gradually, but suddenly, like someone reached inside your chest and twisted something you can never untwist. That moment came for me the second I opened that picture. I remember the room being silent, too silent, like the world was holding its breath, waiting for my reaction. My hands were shaking so hard that the phone almost slipped from my fingers. And there it was, the picture that ended everything. At first glance, my brain didn't want to understand it. It tried to protect me, tried to deny what my eyes were seeing. I blinked. I zoomed in. I zoomed out. I stared until my vision blurred. The picture didn't change. It was Lena, leaning into Daniel, her hand on his chest, his face tilted toward hers. The kind of closeness two people only have when they share something secret, something intimate, something they hide. But the worst part wasn't their closeness. It was their expressions. Lena had that soft smile she used only when she felt safe with someone. Daniel had that gentle look in his eyes that I once believed was meant for me. A look I waited for. A look I thought I earned. A look I thought I deserved. But seeing it there, for someone else, for her, it felt like the ground beneath me cracked. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe. I just stared at the picture, as if staring could change the truth. But truth doesn't bend. Not when it's caught in a photo, from an unknown number, sent at the exact moment your life needs to break for you to finally see what's real. The body goes numb before the heart breaks. People think heartbreak feels like a knife. Sharp. Instant. Fast. They're wrong. Real heartbreak starts slowly. It begins with numbness. This strange quiet shock that spreads through your body like freezing cold water. You can't think. You can't feel. You just exist. My fingers went cold. My chest tightened. My ears rang. I stared at the picture until it felt like it was burning into my eyes. And yet, a small part of me whispered, maybe this is old. Maybe it's edited. Maybe it's just bad timing. Maybe. Those maybe-s are what keep people trapped in lies. Because hope is the last thing to die. Even when everything else has already fallen apart. The second message. Right when I was trying to convince myself that the picture might not be what it looked like, my phone buzzed again. Another message. Same unknown number. This is only the beginning. They've been hiding things from you for months. Months. My heart dropped to my stomach. I typed back instantly. Who are you? Why are you sending this? No response. Instead, another picture. This time, a screenshot of a conversation. A conversation between Lena and Daniel. A conversation that hit me harder than the picture itself. There were messages like, did she ask anything? No. She trusts us too much. She won't find out. Just relax. And then the one that made my hands turn ice cold. We just need a little longer before we tell her. Tell me what? Tell me when? Tell me how long? My chest felt like it was caving in, with questions I wasn't ready to face. Because this wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a plan. A secret. A betrayal they were crafting together, while still pretending to care about me. Another silence. Then a shaky exhale. Then, Aria, listen. I can explain. Explain. Explain what? Explain betrayal? Explain secrets? Explain why the two people I trusted most were hiding something from me? My throat tightened. My eyes filled with tears I didn't want to shed. Daniel. My voice broke. How long? A long pause. Then he said it. Words that shattered me. In a way no picture ever could. Please don't be upset. We were going to tell you soon. That was it. The truth. Delivered so casually. It didn't even sound like guilt. My breathing stopped. My voice disappeared. My heart sank. Soon. Soon. As if my whole life was just a conversation they hadn't gotten around to having yet. The final blow. Before I could say anything else, he added, "It just happened. We didn't plan it." Lies. Soft lies. But lies all the same. My grip tightened around the phone as tears finally spilled down my cheeks. Daniel, you were with me. You told me you loved me. Silence. Not denial. Not apology. Just silence. That silence told me everything I needed to know. Because silence is the purest form of truth. The kind people can't shape or twist. The break inside me. When the call ended, I sat there in the dark, my hands covering my face, my shoulders shaking. Even though no sound came out, it wasn't just heartbreak. It was humiliation, betrayal, confusion, anger, shock, loss, all crashing into me at once. But even then, broken and trembling, I didn't know the truth. Not the whole truth. Because the betrayal I had discovered was only the surface. Something deeper was hiding beneath it. Something darker. Something carefully planned. Something that would change. Not just my relationships, but my entire life. And the person who sent that anonymous message? They weren't done. Not even close. After that call, after seeing the picture, after hearing Daniel's empty excuses, I felt like the ground had disappeared beneath me. Every certainty in my life, every friendship, every love, every laugh, suddenly became a lie. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't eat. I couldn't even sleep. All I could do was replay the moments I had taken for granted. The cafe, the inside jokes, the late-night walks, the promises. Every memory now felt tainted. Every smile I had trusted now seemed fake. And yet, even with all the evidence, a part of me refused to accept it fully. Because betrayal, especially when it comes from people you love, is something your mind tries to deny. It whispers, maybe it's not real. Maybe they'll explain. Maybe it's a mistake. But deep down I already knew. I just didn't want to believe it. The anonymous messenger. The next day, my phone buzzed again. The unknown number. The messages I didn't ask for. The one person who knew more than I did. Arya. You have no idea what they've been planning. I froze. I stared at the screen for a long moment. My chest tight, my breath shallow. No name. No explanation. Just a warning. I had no choice. I had to know the full truth. I needed answers. I typed back. Please. Tell me everything. Who are you? Why are you helping me? Minutes passed. Then another message appeared. I can't tell you everything at once. But trust me, watch closely. Listen carefully. They think you're blind. My pulse quickened. My stomach turned. A combination of fear and curiosity pulsed through me. For the first time, I realized that this betrayal wasn't just personal. It was calculated, carefully orchestrated. Someone had been manipulating events behind my back, and I had been the perfect pawn. The realization. Over the next few days, I began to notice patterns I had ignored before. The unexplained absences. The whispering that stopped when I entered the room. The shared glances. The coincidental plans that always overlapped. It all started making sense. Not just Lena and Daniel. Not just their hidden relationship. It was bigger than that. I realized they weren't just hiding the fact that they were together. They were hiding the way they had used me to achieve their own ends. And when that thought hit me, I felt something inside me shift. Fear changed to clarity. Confusion changed to determination. Pain changed to resolve. I knew then that I had two choices. Collapse under the weight of their betrayal. Take control. I chose the latter. Watching them closely, I began observing them like I had never observed anyone before. Every interaction, every word, every gesture. Lena would often check her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. Daniel would change the topic if I asked something too personal. They laughed in ways I didn't understand. They touched each other in ways they had never touched me. And then the details emerged. Conversations carefully hidden about me. Plans they whispered in private about how easy it would be to keep me trusting. Even joking about how she'll never see it coming. I felt a storm building inside me. Anger, betrayal, shock, but most of all, a realization that the betrayal was much deeper than a simple relationship. I wasn't just hurt. I was being used. And everything I thought I knew about them was a lie. The betrayal deepens. It was during one of these observations that I discovered the truth about the bigger plan. Lena and Daniel weren't just hiding a relationship. They were hiding a secret that could ruin me. Small, carefully planted lies about me. Whispers to mutual friends. Attempts to make me look emotional, unstable, or trusting too easily. The more I uncovered, the more I realized they had been planning this for months. Every smile, every promise, every touch was a calculated move to keep me distracted, to keep me believing, so they could get what they wanted without me noticing. And the worst part? It worked. I had been the perfect pawn in their game, blindly trusting them, believing in their love and friendship, while they manipulated the world around me. The moment of clarity. One evening, I found a folder on a shared computer at Daniel's house. They didn't know I had access. Inside, messages, screenshots, and plans. Plans about me. Plans to teach me a lesson. Plans that showed how little I mattered in the grand scheme of their schemes. And in that moment, I understood something crucial. This wasn't just a betrayal of my heart. It was a betrayal of my entire life. Of my trust. Of my dignity. Of my sense of reality. And I realized something else. They weren't going to stop. Not unless I made them. The decision. I sat in my room that night. Lights dimmed, phone in hand. Documents spread across the desk. I could feel the anger building in me. The betrayal burning in every vein. The shock still lingering like a cold wind. And then quietly, I said it to myself. I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to let them destroy me. I'm going to turn this around. It wasn't revenge yet. Not really. It was the first spark of control. I decided to watch, to listen, to learn everything I could about their plans, to wait for the perfect moment. Because if they thought I was powerless, they were about to discover how wrong they were. The first step toward justice. The next morning, I acted normal. I smiled. I talked. I laughed. I acted like nothing had changed. But inside, I was calculating, observing, planning. Every detail mattered. Every word. Every action. Because I knew that in order to expose them, to take back control, I needed patience. And patience, I realized, was my greatest weapon. After the truth hit me, after the picture, the messages, the hidden conversations, I felt a strange clarity. Anger was there, yes. Shock, heartbreak, pain. But above all, clarity. I realized something. They had underestimated me. They thought betrayal and lies would leave me broken. They thought I would crumble. They thought I would run away from the truth. They were wrong. Because now, I had something stronger than love, stronger than trust, stronger than friendship. I had awareness. And I had purpose. The calm before action. I started acting normal. Like nothing had changed. I smiled at Daniel when I saw him. I joked with Lena as if nothing had happened. I laughed in front of friends and family, keeping my secret storm locked inside. No one suspected a thing. Not Daniel. Not Lena. Not anyone. Inside, though, I was observing, learning, taking note of every movement, every word, every pattern. I was building a map of their lies. Every lie they had told. Every plan they had made. Every mistake they thought they had hidden. And as I built this map, I realized one crucial thing. Their plan had holes, weaknesses, gaps in their strategy that I could use. Studying the betrayers, I watched them like a hawk. Every interaction, every glance, every text that wasn't meant for me. I noticed things they never realized I would see. Daniel's hesitation whenever a plan involved me. Lena's slight twitch whenever she lied. The way they whispered when they thought I wasn't listening. And slowly, a pattern emerged. Not just a relationship hidden behind my back, but a web of manipulation designed to control how I appeared to everyone else. It wasn't personal to them. It was a game. A game I had been forced into unknowingly. And I decided that if they wanted to play games, I would play better. The first moves. I began small. Nothing obvious. Just tiny things that wouldn't alert them. I documented every suspicious text. Every meeting. Every whispered conversation. I started backing up evidence. Screenshots. Notes. Observations. Every detail counted. Because I knew. Once I had enough, I could strike in a way they would never expect. I also started testing them. Small questions. Casual comments. Watching their reactions. One day, I mentioned casually to Lena, "Oh, I didn't know you two were close lately. Must be nice to have inside jokes." Her face twitched. Her smile faltered. She laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. And Daniel? He avoided my gaze. I smiled internally. They were nervous. The first crack appeared. Building my allies. I realized I couldn't do this alone. I needed allies. People who had witnessed their behavior. Who had unknowingly been part of their little schemes. I didn't reach out directly. I observed. I listened. I waited for them to reveal their own doubts. It didn't take long. Friends began confiding small things to me. Casual remarks. "Did you notice how they've been acting? She said this about you, you know?" Piece by piece, the puzzle grew clearer. The web of deception they had spun around me was unraveling. From the very edges. And I felt power returning. Slowly, quietly, carefully. Setting the trap. With every observation, every piece of evidence, I began forming a plan. I didn't want revenge born of anger. That would be reckless. Instead, I wanted justice. I wanted to expose them fully. And to do that, I needed patience. I needed timing. I needed strategy. I imagined the perfect moment. Lena and Daniel, smug and careless, believing I still trusted them. Friends and family, unaware of the betrayal. Me calm, collected, ready to reveal everything. I started preparing my reveal arsenal. Screenshots. Conversations. Hidden evidence. Every proof lined up to tell the story exactly as it was. And while they thought I was broken, I was planning the storm that would leave them speechless. Testing the waters. Before striking, I had to ensure my understanding was correct. I couldn't afford mistakes. I began subtle testing. Mentioning certain events casually to see their reaction. Asking indirect questions to gauge guilt. Observing body language in social situations. Every flinch. Every hesitation. Every defensive tone was a confirmation. I realized something terrifying for them. I had seen through their entire scheme. And the more I observed, the more confident I became that my reveal would be perfect. The emotional transformation. During this period, I also underwent a personal transformation. The betrayal had broken me, but it had also strengthened me. I was no longer the naive, trusting girl I once was. I was cautious, calculating, aware. I understood human nature better than ever. I could read intentions in a glance. I could detect lies in a voice. I could see weakness where they thought there was none. And most importantly, I was ready, building the suspense. For weeks, I continued to act normal, smiling, laughing, playing the part. But inside, the storm was brewing. A storm they couldn't see coming. A storm they would be powerless against. I let them continue their charade, thinking they were in control. I let them believe I was still the same trusting girl. All the while, I gathered more evidence, more confirmation, more proof that would ultimately be their undoing. The turning point approaches. I realized the perfect opportunity would come soon. Their confidence was growing. They had let their guard down. They were careless, believing their betrayal was safe. And when the time came, every hidden conversation, every lie, every manipulative act would be revealed in front of everyone. They thought they were untouchable. They thought I was powerless. They thought they had won. But power, I had discovered, isn't about love or friendship. It's about knowledge, preparation, and timing. And I had all three. The day I had been waiting for finally arrived. I woke up with a strange calmness. A calm that came not from forgiveness, not from relief, but from knowing that the storm I had been preparing for months was finally ready to strike. I had gathered everything. Screenshots, hidden messages, whispers I had recorded, notes I had taken. Every lie, every manipulation, every betrayal. And now it was time to show the world. The setting. I chose the perfect setting. A small gathering at a mutual friend's house, where everyone I knew, friends, family, acquaintances, would be present. It wasn't a huge crowd, but it was enough. Enough to see the shock in their eyes. Enough to feel the weight of judgment. Enough to ensure that nothing could be denied. I arrived early, carrying nothing but my phone and a folder with all the evidence. The air was calm, the sun spilling through the windows. And yet inside me, a storm raged. I wasn't scared. I was ready. The calm before the explosion. Lena and Daniel were already there. Laughing, smiling, acting like everything was normal. I let them settle into their false sense of security. I let them talk. I let them joke. Every second they spent believing they were untouchable was a second closer to their downfall. I walked in, greeted friends casually, smiling like nothing had happened. They didn't notice the cold fire in my eyes. They didn't notice the folder in my bag. They didn't notice that their carefully hidden lies were about to be exposed. The first move. I waited until everyone was comfortable. And then casually, I asked Daniel a simple question. Hey Daniel, do you remember last month at the cafe? He froze. Lena's eyes flickered toward him. I smiled faintly. Funny how sometimes people think you can hide things, but they're really just waiting to be noticed. The tension in the room shifted. People glanced at each other. Friends looked puzzled. The atmosphere thickened. Lena shifted in her seat. Her hand trembled slightly as she sipped her drink. I felt satisfaction in the quiet, slow burning of anticipation. The reveal begins. I pulled out my phone and displayed the first image. It was the picture. Lena and Daniel. Close. Intimate. Secret. The room went silent. Daniel's face went pale. Lena's smile vanished. Even friends who didn't know the details could sense the weight of the moment. I said calmly, "This is the start of a story I should never have had to tell. But here it is. Everything I've been blind to. Everything they tried to hide from me." I paused. Let the silence hang in the air. Evidence after evidence. Then came the screenshots. Messages between them. Conversations they thought I would never see. Proof of manipulation. Proof of betrayal. Proof that they had been hiding not just a relationship, but a plan to control me. To make me appear naive and foolish to everyone around us. I went through each one slowly, explaining context, pointing out the subtle manipulations. Lena opened her mouth. Daniel tried to interrupt. I ignored them, because this wasn't about argument. It was about truth. And the truth, when laid out clearly, cannot be denied. The reaction. At first, there was stunned silence. Friends stared. Family members shifted uncomfortably. Some gasped. Some whispered to each other. Lena's face crumpled. Daniel looked like he might faint. I watched their reactions carefully. Every flinch, every hesitation, every attempt to hide, was another confirmation of their guilt. I didn't yell. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I spoke softly, clearly, steadily, letting the weight of evidence speak louder than my voice ever could. The shock intensifies. Then I dropped the final proof. Messages that revealed how they had planned to isolate me. Conversations showing they had deliberately misled friends. And moments where they had laughed at my trust. One by one, people in the room turned to look at Lena and Daniel. Questions formed on their lips. Judgment appeared in their eyes. And most importantly, doubt replaced the trust these two had taken for granted. Lena tried to speak. Arya. It's not what it looks like. But I stopped her with a calm hand gesture. No. It is exactly what it looks like. And you've had months to explain yourselves. But instead you hid it. And here it is exposed. The silence that breaks them. The room was heavy. The kind of heavy that presses down on your chest. The kind that makes people speak softly, afraid of the truth they can't control. I let them sit in it. Let them feel the full weight of their betrayal. No amount of charm, no excuses, no lies, could undo what had just been revealed. And slowly, I watched the transformation. The smugness drained. The confidence evaporated. The smiles faded. And in their place, shock, shame, guilt, and fear. The final words. I closed the folder. Looked directly at them. This is the truth you tried to hide. This is the reality of betrayal. And this is the lesson I had to learn the hard way. Trust isn't given lightly. Love isn't given blindly. And loyalty is sacred. You chose to betray it. And now, everyone can see what that cost you. I turned to the rest of the room. You all have seen it. Judge if you will. But I am done being silent. The aftermath. The room was quiet. Some people shook their heads in disbelief. Some covered their mouths. Some stared at me as if seeing me for the first time. Lena and Daniel sat frozen. They couldn't speak. They couldn't explain. They couldn't undo what had been done. And in that silence, I felt a strange sense of relief. Not joy. Not happiness. But power. Control. Justice. For the first time in months, I felt free. Because the truth, once revealed, cannot be taken back. And the people who betrayed me had no one to blame but themselves. After the reveal, the room felt different. The weight of truth lingered in the air like a dense fog. Even now, as I sit and recount these events, I can feel that quiet, heavy moment pressing down. Friends who had trusted Lena and Daniel looked at them with disbelief. Family members shook their heads slowly. And the two people who had betrayed me, they couldn't meet anyone's eyes. It was a silence I will never forget. Immediate reactions. Lena tried to speak again. Arya, I didn't mean. But the words fell flat. No one listened. Her voice was small, powerless, meaningless now. Daniel looked like he might collapse under the weight of judgment. He opened his mouth, closed it again. His confidence evaporated, leaving only shame. I didn't gloat. I didn't laugh. I simply stood there, calm, composed. Because the storm had already done its work. The truth had spoken. And their lies had finally crumbled. The emotional aftermath. After the initial shock, people came to me. Friends whispered apologies for not noticing sooner. Some shared their own stories of manipulation and betrayal by others. Some hugged me, quietly acknowledging the pain I had endured. But it wasn't just relief or validation. There was also exhaustion, heartache, a strange emptiness that comes when something you believed in is gone forever. I realized that even when justice is served, the emotional scars remain. And some wounds don't heal overnight. Facing the betrayers. Eventually, Lena and Daniel left the room. They didn't fight. They didn't beg. They didn't explain. All they could do was retreat, hiding from the reality they had created. And as they left, I realized something powerful. I didn't need closure from them. I didn't need apologies. I didn't need explanations, because the truth had already freed me. And that was enough. The reflection. Later that night, I sat alone and reflected. Betrayal cuts deep, but it also teaches. It teaches you to see clearly, to trust wisely, to protect your heart without closing it off. I thought about Lena and Daniel, the people I had loved and trusted the most. And I understood one painful truth. People can be capable of things you never imagined. People can hide their intentions behind smiles, behind jokes, behind small acts of affection. And yet, even knowing this, I realized that closing your heart completely isn't the answer. Because life isn't about avoiding betrayal. It's about learning from it, growing stronger, and becoming unshakable in the face of deception. Lessons learned. I learned that trust is a choice. That love can be blind if you're not careful. That people will sometimes betray you. For reasons that are theirs, not yours. But most importantly, I learned that you always have power. Even when you feel powerless. Power comes from awareness. Power comes from preparation. Power comes from patience. And the greatest revenge isn't anger. It isn't hurt. It isn't even exposing someone publicly, though that has its moment. The greatest revenge is reclaiming your life. Standing tall. Being unbroken. Being wise. Because once you understand this, betrayal loses its power over you. Moving forward. In the weeks after the reveal, life began to return to a new kind of normal. Friends who had been confused or manipulated came forward with apologies. Some relationships healed. Some ended. And I found myself rebuilding my world on my own terms. I focused on things that mattered. My passions, my goals, my dreams. I surrounded myself with people who valued honesty, loyalty, and trust. And slowly, the pain faded. Not completely, but enough for me to see clearly. Because moving forward after betrayal isn't forgetting. It isn't forgiving blindly. It isn't pretending nothing happened. It's reclaiming your life. Piece by piece. Heart by heart. Moment by moment. The moral. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. Life will test you. People will betray you. Trust will be broken. But your strength isn't measured by how well you avoid betrayal. It's measured by how you rise after it. Don't let betrayal define you. Don't let manipulation make you doubt yourself. Don't let lies steal your confidence. Observe. Learn. Prepare. And when the time comes, face the truth boldly. Because in the end, truth is louder than lies. Justice is stronger than deceit. And your own courage is the most powerful thing in the world. Closing reflection. I often think about the people who betrayed me. Lena and Daniel. They lost more than they could have imagined. Not just my trust, but the respect of everyone who mattered. And me? I gained clarity, strength, wisdom, and a sense of peace I never thought I could feel again. Sometimes the most painful experiences turn out to be the ones that teach us how truly strong we are. And for me, that's the lesson I carry forward. No matter what happens in life, no matter who betrays you, you have the power to rise, to reclaim your life, to stand tall, and to ensure that truth always wins.